Introducing the Paramena Bliss Podcast, a show dedicated to unraveling the mysteries of achieving optimal health naturally as you transition into perimenopause and menopause. Get ready to join your host, Dr. Seth Yates, an experienced naturopathic doctor, acupuncturist, and kinesiologist, as he shares his wealth of knowledge acquired from over 40,000 patient visits and 15 years in working with perimenopausal females. Welcome to the Paramena Bliss Podcast.
Hey, this is Doc Yates, and welcome to the Paramena Bliss Podcast, brought to you by ablehealth.us. And today I want to talk about 6 quick tips to make you looking younger longer. So there's not really a thing. I always talk a little bit like what do people normally do with medicine for this, and the answer is nothing. So, but I want to talk about what you can do and the key important roles that balancing hormones can play as you're going through perimenopause and into menopause. That plays a huge role in not just how you look and not just how you feel, but actually like being younger longer, like inside as well, physiologically, because you can't look younger on the outside being older in the inside. The whole process has to work together. So we're working inside and outside to get these results. Number 1, we're going to talk about weight. Gaining excess weight makes you look older. Not a secret, we all know it. It's something especially you notice. I remember when you first kind of like finished high school or college, and then you'd see some friends and they gained 20, 30, 40 pounds during that time, and you're like, man, you look so much different. And even girls and guys, it made them look like, instead of being in their early 20s to being in like their late 30s, just from that change in weight. And that same kind of look changes as you're going through 40s. Someone overweight in their 40s looks more like 50s, and 50s looks more like 60s. So what does that mean with regards to hormones? Everything. Estrogen imbalance with progesterone during perimenopause greatly contributes to weight gain. So, and here's the thing. It doesn't just contribute to weight gain, it changes where you gain the weight, which also has a big effect on aging, because all of a sudden it's like people just subconsciously realize like, oh, they're gaining weight in this area now, that's different. Therefore, we know they're around this age. So when estrogen and progesterone are balanced and then they're in adequate amounts, for females, you see more weight. If they're going to gain weight, it's more around like hips and chest, which has more of that female kind of classic look, even if they are gaining weight. But once the imbalance happens, you start seeing a lot more weight gain around the middle, around the midsection and through the abdomen, and that changes people's self-perceived look. So by balancing progesterone and estrogen, it doesn't just change where you're putting the weight, but it also helps reduce the weight. So if you're trying to lose weight and you're working hard and you're doing exercise and doing diet and doing all the work and you're not seeing results, you've got to work on hormone balance. Number 2, fine lines and wrinkles. Estrogen plays a huge role in skin health. So, and we're going to dive more into something called elastin later, but fine lines and wrinkles and kind of like the skin's hydration and fullness estrogen plays a key role there. And as estrogen levels start to become imbalanced, you will see the fine lines and wrinkles develop, which obviously, as everyone knows, plays a huge role in looking. Now, here's the thing. It's going well beyond, because I don't want this all to be just about vanity. We're thinking about whatever's happening to the skin on the inside is happening to tissues on the outside is happening to tissues on the inside as well. Estrogen plays a role in all of that. So we want to work hard to balance estrogen levels. Interestingly enough, early in perimenopause, estrogen levels haven't really dropped. So the skin and everything is good, but what you will see is that there's an imbalance of the metabolites of estrogen, and then estrogen doesn't really have its proper effect without the support of progesterone. So by working with the progesterone and then using different herbs to help your body with its estrogen levels, I've seen a big difference with that. One more kind of add-on for the fine lines and wrinkles, acupuncture. Acupuncture plays a huge role in reducing those and helping with collagen. don't forget about the importance of acupuncture, and if you have any questions, you can DM me sometime and I'll give you more information about that. Lips. One of the key things, if you Google what are things that are subconsciously make people recognize you as looking older, is your lip, and one of the specifically your lip height. So this is something where people get a lot of collagen injections and fillers, but the main underlying reason for this is because of a drop in estrogen levels. When you correct estrogen levels, you can prevent this change in your lip size. So you don't need so many collagen injections and fillers and all of that stuff. Because for a lot of people, when those injections work well, you don't notice anything, which is probably the best thing. But most of the cases, it looks like someone kind of got bit by a bee on the face and their lips are all puffy and sticking out. And it doesn't have that natural look. If you can correct the root cause, you can maintain the natural look. Your hair. Thinning, dry, brittle hair. Hormones play a huge role with this. Estrogen plays a role with your hair. Something called DHT. So females also have testosterone, just like men, but just not as much. And this testosterone can also, like men, break down to this byproduct called DHT. And when that happens, it leads to thinning hair, kind of thin, especially along like the sides of the forehead, receding hairlines. DHT gives all of that look of hair loss that you want to avoid. Now, interestingly enough, there are herbs we can use to help your body block that production of DHT, but one of the best things that block that production is progesterone. So if we can keep your progesterone levels balanced, you will help prevent this extra production of DHT and prevent the hair loss. So balancing estrogen and progesterone, maybe with a few herbs, things like nettle, saw palmetto, can help with that. Number 5. There's something called elastin. Now you might have heard of elastin before with respect to your skin, because it gives skin its elasticity. The less elasticity you have, the more the skin kind of sags, fine lines develop more, and increases aging. Now here's the thing. Elastin is not just in your skin. It's basically in all of your tissues. It's in your arteries, it's in your bladder, it's in your lungs. So maintaining elastin is key for health. This is one of the reasons that estrogen plays such a big role with heart health and in your arteries. It's because of elastin. So by improving elastin, which is linked with estrogen levels, you are improving not just the health and look of your skin, of all the tissues in your body. And number 6 is tension. Muscle tension, overall like mental, emotional tension. Progesterone helps with that. And the more kind of like stressed, the more stiff, the more irritable you get, the more they can be associated with aging. So we've really summed it down again in this talk just to balancing the two hormones, estrogen and progesterone. There's some other things that would be important that can play a role with all this. Cortisol would be a big one. Cortisol really will throw your hormone imbalance off more, and it can lead to a lot of these. The more you increase your cortisol, the worse all of these other symptoms will get. So if you're unsure about what I mean by cortisol, cortisol is the hormone that's released when you're under stress or under perceived stress. That's the most interesting part about it. It's not just stress, it's perceived stress. So let's say, for instance, your job is stressing you out. And you're like, oh, my job is the worst, it's stressing me out. And that is, yes, maybe you don't have a great job, but it still might be considered perceived stress. Like, I want you to think, if we took your job description and we took it to some like starving person in Ghana who was like had to literally search through garbage to find food to feed their family, and then we gave them your job description and said, okay, now we're going to get you to do this instead, and you're going to get paid this much instead. Do you think that they would take that role and be like, that is way too stressful?
Thank you for tuning in to the Paramena Bliss podcast. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and visit perimenobliss.com for more valuable information on how you can thrive during your transition through perimenopause. Join our community of like-minded women who are dedicated to achieving optimal health naturally, and stay up to date with the latest tips, tricks, and advice from Dr. Seth Yates. And we'll catch you on the next episode of the Perimenobliss Podcast.